the system has to give a recommendation to you when it is required. By looking at the information and the scores and the characteristics, extract me a list of strengths and weaknesses.
It is plug and play, meaning you really can change, interchange for each organizational structure.
Each organization. As a leader, I might think that I come well dressed, and I give myself a good score.
Correct.
But my peers might say, oh, he's overdressed or he's underdressed.
Sentiment will be given directly, immediately. Leadership scores for benchmarks will be given also directly. But suggestion for strength and weakness will be given in piecemeal periodically. I see at the top pipe, there are two pipes coming out of the first pipeline. The top pipe looks like the unstructured and it's actually going using LLM, but the bottom one is using ML, machine learning.
ML, correct. Folks who are looking at solutions like this or want to build something like this, the LLM, it could be any LLM. It could be your own in-house built, or you could add it, or you can plug it to any sort of a GPT or of course, DeepSeek or Perplexity or Anthropic, anything.
How long this whole thing takes, this whole pipe from end to end?
From uploading a document to getting an output, let me put it from this till generation of suggestions or strengths and weaknesses. 35 seconds, 40 seconds.
It is easier, so you just come and dump, whether it's structured or unstructured. That's the easy part.
Yes.
And also you can do it through Slack or through Microsoft Teams or whatever you're using. You don't even have to go and use any specific one. You can use it from there. That's one. That's the easy part. Fast is 30 seconds, 35 seconds. Instead of right now, as clients have actually told us directly, it takes anywhere between 30 to 45 days. Huge difference.
Sure.
And then better because it is actually giving you very specific to you, as opposed to the generic one that's being given overall for a bunch of people who have this specific strength and weakness. Today we have on Project Autopsy Podcast, we are going to speak about within human resources. We're going to speak about leadership survey, AI, decision insights, and recommendations. Now, if you can go to the next slide. This is actually the business pipeline, and it is a problem where companies having 100 executives and more, they always keep on having these leadership surveys, and they'd like to help their leaders basically to get to better levels. And they like to understand what's going on exactly inside each one of them alone. Now, all of that has been taking place in the past years, many years. The only issue there is that all these surveys don't actually get extracted correctly or timely, those two things. So with the advent of AI, we were asked by clients to actually produce something like this, which is we start by looking at what we have here on the slide, leadership assessment from the top left, leadership assessment survey documents that we get, meaning surveys that have been filled up by the executives of a certain organization. They are called leaders. So we collect all these surveys. That's exactly what we input into our pipeline. From there, we start with assigning sentiment analysis with confidence scores for each and every line that has been shared, whether it's by the leader or by their peers or by their subordinates or by their bosses, basically. All of those are put into one survey document, which gets the confidence score on the sentiment analysis of each one of them. So we're trying to actually understand and give to the individual themselves, what are they doing, how well are they doing, and where, whether it's from their subordinates or from their bosses or from their colleagues. So then the process goes from there to the next level, which is leadership competency individual score, meaning we have a competency module where This is a leadership competency module which ascertains what is a good or a bad based on a numerical
benchmark.
score. Exactly, but before the benchmark, it's a numerical score. Some of these leadership competency models actually come with 1 to 6, some of them 1 to 10, some of them 1 to 5. Regardless of that, we take the smallest bound and the highest bound, and we put them together and we use them. And so that's where we can give the score. This is for the individual um, leader score.
Yes.
Then moving on, all those scores get actually put together, all of them together within the leadership competency benchmark score, which is for the organization. And the benchmark comes on trying to get the minimum, the maximum, and the median. And that's how you can do the benchmarking, basically. And so for that individual to see where they're sitting within their own organization without any names or anything, it's just scores, pure scores, coming back as a reflection back to them so that they can get to know. Now, they want to know where are they doing good, where they're doing bad. So that's the next step, which we get the extraction of their strengths, their own strengths, each individual, each leader, and their weaknesses. And this way, we grab not the strength and weakness from their own input from the survey, but from their colleagues, again, their subordinates, their bosses. It's all round, basically. But it's the ML, the machine learning, what it does, it actually tries to give the equating all of those and trying to give a fair analysis of which strengths, which weaknesses really, because some individuals, they see something as a strength, someone else from their peers see it as a weakness, and vice versa. So all of these things, they're very easily put there as 3 letters, but actually they're very complex. And so they need that kind of dissection. After that's done, then the issue is about, okay, what do we come back and when do we come back to the each leader, telling them, for this strength, how do you actually improve it even further, because they're doing well, but nothing's stopping them from getting better, and each weakness and how to fix it. And these are put and sent as suggestions on periodical timetable. So it could be either weekly, either monthly, either quarterly. It all depends on the not only the individuals, but even the organization. And it goes back to the human resources department of that same organization, according to what are the cultural needs and what have you. So this is the whole thing, to make one last point here, which is giving a score, showing the weakness and how to fix, showing the strength and how to improve, all using our pipeline here to make things easier, decisions and improvements easier, faster, and better.
Better. Yeah.
So I think, Prashant, please take us to the next slide,
Sure.
where you can take it over and show us now, take this business pipeline and show us the technical aspects of this and how to build it. I guess you're doing it on NA10 right now. So each one of these cards and those colors that you are showing here is a function, basically. And that's why you have it, and you have a heading for it, so that the viewers who are seeing this, they can read the heading, right?
Yes.
Like this is the input
Yes.
for the pipeline on the so it's from left to right, right? We're looking
It
from
moves
left
from
to
left
right.
to right.
Yes.
And you can visualize this as each individual leader gets a report in a PDF format, or
Can you like use your mouse so
yeah.
wherever you're speaking about, so we can see it? So this area first.
So the input, yes. So they input
Surveys.
their survey. They drop it into a system, and we take
But
that
just a
PDF.
question. There is a
Yes.
survey, but there's also can be some open source, and not open source. I'm sorry. I meant like emails, like anything that you
Yes.
can enter at that point, or either tabular or structured or unstructured data.
Or
Correct?
unstructured. Yes.
Okay.
So I'll touch upon that in just a moment. So the PDF is a glance of the survey which is semi-structured responses and a lot of unstructured comments or feedback that others, your peers, your bosses, your customers, your colleagues from same branch, other branches, outsiders, various people have put in their inputs about you. Okay.
Mhm.
And the semi-structure is, you can say, in some ways, in many ways, is a survey which has got grading from how would you rate this person's appearance on a scale of 1 to 10.
Mhm.
How would you rate this person's spoken command over a spoken English from on a scale of 1 to 10. And those questions in the survey are circulated amongst a different range of people, different groups of people, from your boss again, from your colleagues, peers, people who report to you, customers who you talk to from time to time.
Mm.
So this report contains all that information. So as a
So,
first step, yeah,
Prashant, just a point here because I'll be stopping you on the things, so we are going on the same tandem here. There is unstructured here, if you can see on
yes,
there's unstructured here, that one. This is unstructured, and
yes,
the one below is semi-structured. So it's the types of the structuring of this data that one of them goes to one side and the other one goes to the other side. I can see that.
correct, yes.
Okay. So the
And
unstructured
you,
goes to the one that really is waiting for unstructured, which is, can you zoom out so that we can see? So the unstructured goes to the sentiment scoring, obviously, and you're using an
yes,
LLM there
we're
because it's
using
the
an
easiest way.
LLM. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Mhm.
And the reason why we want to do this is because the semi-structured the semi-structured data that we've collected from the that is available in the survey is targeted towards scoring. So you can build scores for yourself, and then we can compare them as we go through the flow to benchmarks that are available within the organization, industry, etc. I'll come to that later.
Sure.
As well as the unstructured, well, we prefer, we always suggest to use an LLM because it assesses your sentiment score of the comment or the statement or the email
Mm.
that has been shared about you as an example, or someone says, hey, I like working with this guy because of XYZ reason, or there is an email received that, hey, this is a salesperson. In our last meeting we were committed to doing so and so, and we did not get this particular output.
But Prashant, also, I can see this here. I just for me seeing it, and really, even though I saw it with you and we worked on this before, but now I'm seeing it clearly for the viewer. I see at the top pipe, there are two pipes coming out of the first
Yes,
pipeline. The top pipe looks like the unstructured, and it's actually going using LLM, but the
yes,
bottom one is using ML, machine learning.
ML,
That's
correct.
how it looks
Yes,
like. Yes,
yes,
it's very
yes,
interesting for that. Very interesting
yes,
that
yes,
you have resorted to use for the unstructured and LLM, but for the semi-structured, you're going for
yes,
the ML, not for LLM.
yes. And as always, just a reminder to our audience or any of the folks who are looking at solutions like this or want to build something like this, the LLM, it could be any LLM. It could be your own in-house built, or you could add it, or you can plug it to any sort of a GPT or, of course, DeepSeek or
Yes.
Perplexity or Anthropic, anything to
But
get a sentiment analysis.
by that you mean a context aware, but only single context you
Only
can,
single content. Yeah.
instead of having to go and take a very big heavyweight, and it takes so much
Yes.
computation and for no reason.
Yeah. For no reason. Absolutely.
Can
So
we continue?
we use a sentiment score. We get out a sentiment score, and we let the LLM generate sentiment score based on what it sees from that unstructured information, and
Mhm.
let it come back with topics, or you can say topics of your characteristics of your character. Let it select and identify, and it gives us a sentiment score against each of them.
Okay. So it takes raw text, but it tries to break it down into the same breakdown of the leadership competency model, and it takes
Yes.
those metrics, and it tries to give the scoring, or I guess we called it something else, which
So
is
we would
the confidence score, right?
confidence scores. We would give it a confidence score, and also we don't want to obviously we don't want to influence the LLM by telling it that these are the things that we want to score it from. Because if there is nothing talked about a particular person's appearance in any of the open text, then we don't want the output. So we say, hey, you decide, give me 10, 12, 15 topics of characteristics or items of the person, of an individual character that you would want to assess. Look for them. We don't tell it what, and it can come back to us with that score and those items.
Okay.
Okay.
So moving on, you take, if you go down, then you're
So
taking
then we go
the
back down
calculating
to
scores.
this pipe where we've got.
Can you please zoom in, especially for the calculating own and calculating scores by
Sure.
boss? So
Yeah.
one is for own, one is for the leader to the left-hand side.
Yes.
And the other one is the calculator two, you called
The
it, is for
calculator
the boss,
for,
peers,
yes,
subordinates, customers. Excellent.
customers. Yeah. So everybody's asked that how would you rate yourself on this, on a particular subject? And also there is a benchmark score that is available within the organization, all right, which has been obviously derived over a period of time. Now we also segregate the raters, your outside, the people around you, who you work with, above you, same level as you, below
You
you.
mean the one on the right-hand side, the boss, the
Yes,
peers, the
this
subordinates? Separate this from you meaning
yes, we
the
separate it.
leader, from the leader.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And there's a slight, actually there's a very important reason behind this, is because you might think, as a leader, I might think that I come well dressed, and I give myself a good score.
Correct.
But my peers might say, oh, he's
Otherwise.
overdressed or he's
Mm.
underdressed. So we
True.
want to show you through this reporting, through our engine,
Right.
how you are performing in your own shoes, from your own thoughts versus what other people think about you. All right. So we pick up these scores. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you zoom out, please, so that we can see the
Yeah.
whole thing picture again for the audience, so they can see the pipe? So we carry on with the pipe.
Yeah. So then we put them all together. We calculate scores separately. We put them together through a merging. We merge them. And now we come into an area where we have got
So you have sentiment scoring assessment and leadership scoring.
a leadership
Leadership from
scoring
the
assessment.
bottom and
Right.
sentiment from the top. That's what
Sentiment
you're
coming
having
from the
here.
top, coming from you can say a neutral, non-influenced LLM, as in, just coming back
Right.
with some information.
Sure.
And then we get a big bunch of scores again. Okay, so you added your leadership scores and then we merge them. Now comes as the next step, we pass it to an LLM, say, hey, this is what I have generated so far as a chunk about this individual, no names, obviously, for maintaining privacy.
Yes.
By looking at the scores, by looking at the information and the scores and the characteristics, extract me a list of strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
With the objective of, with the final objective that I need, which I don't talk about, which I would talk about later.
Okay.
Where I feel I need to make some amendments, or where I need to make some improvements, or where I can approve.
Right, but this is preliminary now. We can move to the right. This is
Preliminary. So right now we're just extracting the strengths and weaknesses.
Right. Extraction phase only. So next one is competency benchmark assessment.
Correct. So in the benchmark assessment, what happens is that we use, just as before in the previous step, we use an LLM out here, wherein we pass it a list of strengths as a leader, some of the strengths that I may possess, and some of the weaknesses that have been perceived that I have. And we take that and we along with a competency model. So the competency assessment is more like in a particular scenario, how will people perform under a particular scenario? What is the best assessment for them?
Right.
Okay.
So the competency model is basically a specific model that has some kind of scoring itself also.
Scoring in them.
Yeah, and it has like what do you call them? Each one of them you have like sections within the competency.
So you would call them like, how would I perform in in a business environment? How would I perform in a work environment? How would I perform in as a leader environment?
Okay.
So
Okay.
so as a leader, I have to
But,
work.
but Prashant, this means really you are not stuck. You're not doing this as like a stagnant
No,
competency model. It is plug and play, meaning you really can
correct.
interchange for each organizational
Each
structure
organization. Yeah,
or each cultural element, like
correct,
each country or
correct.
each each even continent. I mean, it all depends on, and
Absolutely.
also the client may choose
They may choose,
the
correct,
their own competency model, but it comes and gets plugged into this area and it
into
goes
this area
flawlessly.
for a comparison that this is what in a particular competency model from this person, we expect him to be better in business and we expect him to be a better leader to his team,
Depending on the competency model
depending on
itself.
the character, depending on the level he is at. I mean, of course, he's a leader, but depending
Right.
on the organization culture, depending on the business culture, there are
Right.
multiple
But I
factors.
have to say it again. I have to say it again. Depending on this, you are doing this now.
We're
Their
comparing them.
profile, yes, their profile, their
Yes,
leadership profile
yes.
against a specific competency model.
Specific
You're trying
competency
to
model.
match and see
Correct,
where they match and where they don't, where
correct.
they mismatch, basically.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Excellent. Can we move on?
Yes. So now the last, I mean, not last part, but then we pass this information to an LLM.
Mhm.
Okay. Again, choose an LLM of your choice or specific to your business requirements. All right.
Mhm.
And tell it, hey, these are some of the strengths perceived. These are some of the assumed strengths of this individual. These are some of the perceived weaknesses. Uh, how do you think that this person can improve in all areas? So it could be
Right.
having 3 or 4 strengths, could be having
This is
3 or 4 weaknesses.
just a,
Yeah,
this is for the individual
for the
leader.
individual, for this
Nothing to
particular
do
leader.
with others. This is direct to them. This is their
Correct.
feedback to them, back to them
This is the
individually.
feedback back to them. Yes. So the LLM obviously has got all that information. It's collected along the pipe from the left side, and it says it could come back with that you have been. Let's take an example of business communication. Your business communication, as reported by your customers and boss, appear to be your strength, and it's perceived. It's given a good. You've got a good score as your strength. We see a certain improvement required while communicating with your peers and with your subordinates.
In 1, 2, 3.
For one item of, let's say, a communication is your characteristic or your trait of your personality. So it's perceived overall as a strength
Mm-hmm.
by the system. It's been calculated to be a strength, but it also saw that you've done well as reported by your customers and done boss. So it's a strength, but it also saw that, hey, maybe you didn't score very well in business communication. Your peers and your subordinates did not give you average score or not such a high score as your business head.
Excellent.
So it says you're doing very well in your communication. Da, 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 da.
So this is the
And there
end.
is
This is the end of the pipeline here. Can you enlarge it, please, so that we can see the
this
data
is
for report?
it's actually not the end. So just like that, you have weaknesses, and it
Mm.
comes back with suggestions to you for areas of improvement. Okay. Now,
Okay.
the interesting part of the system is nobody wants this whole report to be just, of course, you want to read it. Yes, you get a report output and you say, okay, this is why you have to perform. This is where your overall score is. Okay. This is how I assess the system assess your, did a sentiment analysis with your scoring. And these are the suggestions for your strengths and weaknesses. It gives you a summary of all of this. But the important tricky part, or not the tricky part, but the part that, which is actually doing really well for us, is that the system has to give a recommendation to you when it is required, not today, because it could be 50
Periodically.
recommendations,
Periodically.
or a particular event, like if there's, I'll give you an
Okay.
example. You have a
So,
meeting.
so you're saying, after collecting all these here, can you please enlarge this data for report, because we're getting at this point, which is the last point here. So you're saying here the sentiment will be given directly, immediately. Leadership scores for
Which
benchmarks
benchmarks
will
will
be
go
given
directly.
also directly. But suggestion for strength and weakness will be given in piecemeal
Piecemeal.
periodically. And with
Periodically.
that suggestion, you will give the recommendation, and it's a program for recommendation with
Correct.
scheduled interval, so that people periodically get reminded, not people, but each specific individual will come for their own strengths and weaknesses, will be reminded
Yes.
at that, and using any kind of like Slack, what do we
Yes,
call
a
Slack?
Slack or messaging or a Teams or
Right,
any
so
sort of messenger application or even email.
right.
So a real life example, a Google Calendar tells you got meeting with so and so team, 10 people. If this is connected, a message can flash up, say, be sure to be sure to take care of the following things while interacting with this group of
Mm,
people.
mm, mm, mm.
Simple
And it
example.
becomes new. It looks new, yeah,
It
because
looks new,
you
it's like,
don't
hey,
know. It
it's
just
like,
comes up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
hey,
Yeah.
last time you said something to me, I don't want you to say that again. I mean, I'm saying it in all jest, but that is
Yeah.
how the system should be, rather
So
than giving
Prashant,
them one report and
true.
it gets lost in
I know, I've got it myself, and many people have. You get this full report. Actually, more than likely, you barely read a third of it, and then you leave it
yes,
to read it later, and you never go because it's about you. that's,
yes,
that's the issue
yes,
here.
yes.
There's something else also. How long this whole thing takes, this whole pipe from end to end?
From uploading the document to getting an output, let me put it from this till generation of suggestions or strengths and weaknesses.
Hmm?
35 seconds, 40 seconds.
Okay, because this is where when we said it is easier, so you just come and dump whether it's structured or unstructured. That's the easy part.
Yes,
And also you can do
yes.
it through Slack or through Microsoft Teams or whatever
Microsoft
you're
Teams.
using. You don't
Yeah,
even have to go and use any specific one. You can use it from there. That's one. That's the easy
correct,
part. Fast
correct.
is 30 seconds, 35 seconds.
30,
Instead of right
45.
now,
Yeah,
as clients have actually told us directly, it takes anywhere between 30 to 45 days. Huge difference. And
sure.
then better
Yes,
because it is actually giving you very specific to you, as opposed to the generic one that is being given overall
correct.
for a bunch of people
Overall,
who have this
correct.
specific strength and weakness. I think we went
And
through the
also at
whole
the
thing here.
particular point of, and also it also gives you that recommendation at the time you might require it.
Exactly. It's all fortuitous. It's all the right thing at the right time. It's always the case.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Prashant. It was very nice that we both went through this here together.
Yes,
And I hope
yes.
that this helps our audience to get to the next level. And any comments are very welcome. Please share with us any
Yes,
comments you have. And we will be more than happy to respond. Definitely. Take care.
absolutely, absolutely.